and gentlemen, we are finally back inside KVK after an off season that felt like forever. As you can see, we ended up registering for a Season of Conquest Heroic Anthem remaster, which means I am reunited with my remastered graphics. Finally, it has been way too long, although as you know, apparently in the next update these brand new graphics are coming to home kingdoms, not just the new ones but apparently all of them, so I'm really excited for that. But today I wanted to continue the trend or the series that I've been doing here on the channel for the last couple of years, and that is my max damage series. This is the series where I go over my 5 armies that I'm going to be using for my KVK, and you can see the progress that I've made on my account since the last KVK that I was in. I'm going to go over which pairs of commanders I'm going to be using for this KVK. I'll go over all of my equipment, armaments, and everything like that, and then you can go back in the past and look at previous versions or episodes of this series and see how my account has come along over time. Now, as you guys know, I am a partnered creator with Rise of Kings, which means they support a few videos on the channel every single month just like this one, but the most important support comes from you guys dropping a thumbs up down below and subscribing for more content. And at the end of this KVK, I'm going to follow up this video with a recap video where I go over how good each army performed, some of my key takeaways, some of the things that I learned from the KVK, some things that surprised me, some things that worked well and didn't, so you definitely don't want to miss that. I'm going to remind you guys to subscribe once again. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's jump into the first army that I'm going to be using here in KVK, and that is none other than Liu Che with Alexander the Great. You thought, you really, come on bro, you thought I was going to use, hey, come on man, I'm not that's crazy. Anyway, Liu Che with Alexander the Great. There is no reason for me to change this lineup. It has been tried and true for KVK after KVK. It is consistently my best performing army, and so we're going to be rocking it once again here at the beginning of 2025. Now, I feel like this army is one that's probably changed the least since the last episode of this series, because again, it doesn't really need changing. Everything functions super well, and I wanted to sort of patch up some of the holes in my other armies to improve them, to sort of bring them up to this level. But I don't remember exactly what my equipment looked like last time, but here you can see that I did actually move one of my Ring of Dooms from another army to this one. I believe the last episode of the series I had the Greatest Glory with the Concealed Dagger. I moved that to another army. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Ring of Doom is just a slight micro optimization to this army. It's just going to make it hit a little bit harder. As you can see, we have the iconic tier 4 weapon, tier 5 special talented Shio's Return. Unfortunate craft for your boy here, but hey, it is what it is. We might as well use it. We have the iconic 4 Eternal Knights with the special talent iconic 3 Hope Cloak, which by the way, you don't really need iconic 4 and above here for the Hope Cloak because it just deals damage to rallied armies and garrisons. The only exception to that is if you're going to be swarming rallies and garrisons, of course, or you're a rally leader. But for a field fighter like me, tier 3 is just fine for the Hope Cloak. And then we have the tier 2 helmet and the tier 1 Van Braces of Eternal Empire, just a little 2-piece set here, picking up that troop defense down there. These two, honestly, I just don't feel like I need to upgrade these very much. There's way more important things on the account than those. Taking a look at the talent build for my Liu Che, we'll see that we grabbed the Fight to the Death, we grab Effortless, and we grab Martial Mastery. Unfortunately, we do not grab Unyielding. It's only counterattack damage, nothing crazy there. We put 1 point in Snare of Thorns, and we grab Infantry Health over here, which means we grab all the march speed along the way, which we desperately need for infantry. We grab Strong of Body for the health, 1% defense, and we have Hold the Line at 4 points. I feel like this is a very good talent tree for Liu Che, and I almost can't even think of an alternative. Like, this is just, it just seems like what else would you do, right? Like, I don't know, there's nothing in this talent tree that I would get rid of to grab more stats here, because you waste 3 points basically grabbing the Snare of Thorns at 4. I don't know, I basically just had 1 point left over, so I threw it in here, but it is what it is. I feel like this is tried and true. I don't need to mess with this. It's the maximum amount of march speed because you still are getting the stuff that you need over here as well, so I'm happy with that. Moving on to the formation, we do have Destructive over here, we have Fearsome, we have Alert, we have Cohesive, and we have Smite. And surprisingly, this is one of my worst formations, or at least builds here, even though I've opened a ton of armament chests for the arch formation. I just haven't gotten super lucky with infantry, unfortunately. We have 12.5% infantry attack, 7.9% defense, 6.4% health, and 1.8% all damage. Of course, Cohesive and Fearsome give us an extra 3% to all damage as long as we're over 50% remaining, only 1% under that. Then we have another 2% normal damage here. I know Destructive gets a bad rap, and honestly, I understand why. Losing some rage here is not typically super worth it, but at the end of the day, it is a 3.5% boost boost to normal damage, so I'll take it. It's pretty much a guaranteed legendary inscription here. I do wish that the devs would remove kind of the downside here. It just seems so awkward that it even has, I mean, it's like kind of nerfing it, the own inscription. Like, why would you do that, right? It's supposed to be legendary. Why is there a downside? Anyway, despite that, I feel like this is a solid set. There's no march speed here. It's just hits pretty hard. Unfortunately, there's more attack than there is defense, and I mean, I don't love that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And historically, this army has performed super well with this, so I really have no complaints. As you guys know, I do also have the relic upgrade for Alex tier 2. You basically need this if you're going to run Alex in the field. That's just my opinion, but it adds a little bit of tankiness to the army that you really need, so I'm super happy about this. Now, in the previous episodes of this series, I've talked about comparing Liu Che to William Wallace. I think I'm done with that. I think my mind is made. I don't think that there's any reason to revisit William Wallace in 2025 unless we get another smite damage infantry, which honestly I hope we do, because I do have him expertise obviously, and so I want to use him. And so hopefully the next infantry release will be smite damage, and hopefully they work really well with William Wallace, so that way infantry players have a reason to use him. But I've done enough testing for myself anecdotally, and I've heard from many other players that Liu Che Alex, it's just the way to go for me. If you want, you can do Liu Che Philip. That's another great choice, but we'll talk about Philip later in the video. And that is my first infantry army. Next, let's talk about the second army that we're going to be running here in KVK, and that is another infantry army. And of course, you guessed it, it's going to be Ragnar Prime with Scipio Prime. And this is, it goes without saying, this is one of the best commander pairs in the game here. And I actually think I've made some micro optimizations to my armaments and my inscriptions here, which I got super lucky with, so we'll go over that in just a second. We've done a little bit of progress here on the equipment since last time, although you're not going to notice it because it comes in the form of a 75% progress on the Shield of Eternal Empire. I have tried multiple times refining this, and I've just gotten screwed every single time. So you guys think content creators get special treatment? We don't. Okay, I got bad luck. All right, so one more, baby, one more. I don't even know why I started talenting this. It's not even like the most important thing for me to talent. I just started it on a stream one day on a whim, and now I'm like, well, I might as well finish it. So anyway, we got a special talent Hope Cloak here. We have basically all of my weaker gear is on my Ragnar compared to my Liu Che. The only exception to that is that we do have, of course, the horn over here instead, and two special talents. We have the tier 5 boots with the talent. Of course, this is important because it gets you that extra march speed, and with the talent you have an extra 1.5% down there as well. So 4-piece set here, pretty standard stuff. We got a special talent on the ring, which honestly I'm not sure, maybe I should move that to my Liu Che, although there's just so much damage output from Ragnar that I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. But all in all, I'm happy with this equipment. I think it's totally fine. Taking a look at the talent build, this might be controversial. I don't know what other people are really running here, but we grab Feral Nature obviously, and then we grab Latent Power for 6% more additional damage of all types, because you do actually deal a lot of additional damage here with your Ragnar Prime. Coming into the infantry tree, we grab the march speed here, here, and here, and then we grab, of course, Strong of Body, and then we only have 3 points left, so I threw it into Double-Headed Axe for the 1.5% more normal damage. Perhaps it would be better putting it over here for just the stats to improve my skill damage and tankiness, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I know a lot of players love Hold the Line, but for me, it just doesn't feel worth it, and the reason for that is because I would much rather have the march speed and actually be able to get into and out of engagements when I want to, rather than relying on a percent chance to reduce damage taken when you're hit with a basic attack. I'm avoiding basic attacks as best as I can, brother. I'm going in and out of battle. I'm tapping them and running away. Pause. I know that sounds weird, but hey, listen, it is what it is. It's only for 2 seconds. There's a cooldown. It's when you take, like, if this was a 10% chance when you deal or take a basic attack or something like that, then maybe I'd be more interested in grabbing it. But to me, the march speed is just way more important for infantry, so that's why I went this route. Honestly, I've been rocking a build similar to this on my Guan Yu for years now, and I've just never missed Hold the Line. I just never feel like I need it. It never really moves the needle for me as much as being able to actually move on the battlefield, right? And also, I typically don't max my crystal tech, and so in the event that I'm a few, stat points behind on march speed compared to some of the players I'm going up against, this will kind of bridge that gap if they're all running Hold the Line. So I'm happy with this. I see no reason to change this. I've just never needed Hold the Line. I've never missed it. It is what it is. Taking a look at my skill damage wedge formation for infantry, I'm pretty stoked about this, to be honest, although my inscriptions are a little bit lacking, but I'm really loving how clean the stat distribution is over here, boys. Look at that. 12.4% infantry health, 10.9% infantry defense, 9.1% infantry attack. That is a beautiful distribution. Really happy with it. Of course, we have Hunter over here as well, which boosts the skill damage of both of these commanders. We have Boiling Blood, which gives me even more skill damage bonus as well. Then we have Eclipsed, which makes me take less skill damage, and then Artisan, which gives me another 3% more skill damage and counterattack damage. So really, I feel like this is done. I'm pretty much just going to leave this how it is. Of course, we don't even know the future of skill damage infantry, so I'm really happy with this. I'm just going to leave this how it is basically forever, and at some point maybe I'll just use my conversion stones to move this over to arch formation if we ever do end up going all in on smite damage for infantry. But all in all, really happy with this. I made a lot of progress, I feel like, on this. I'd have to go back and check my previous one, but I feel like I've had some nice rerolls in the past couple of months in the off season on this build alone. And with that being said, let's move on to the third army that I'm going to be using here in KVK, and that's going to be my Yuili with Hermann Prime. Now this is another army that hasn't changed very much, so we're going to go through this one pretty quickly, but this is a tried and true army that I really feel like I don't need to improve that much. Now I don't know what my helmet was for the last KVK, I can't remember, but we do have the Ancestral Mask of Night, we have the Special Talented Dragon's Breath plate and gloves, we also have the Glorious Goddess legs for the health, and we have the tier 5 Dragon's Breath boots. Now I really do want to get the special talent on this, but I have to wait until I finish the shield for infantry. It just doesn't make any sense to like stop it at 75. So that's what we're going to do there. Obviously everything has iconic tier 1 except for the weapon and the chest piece and the boots, of course, but the weapon and chest piece are tier 2. As you guys know, a little bit of Omniarch lore, the craft of Dragon's Breath plate gave me a special talent, and the craft of the Dragon's Breath brand braces also gave me the special talent. So I was kind of blessed with this set. I didn't really have to do that much for it to be really good, so it is what it is. I'm happy with this. Of course, we have the ring and horn over here as well. You'll notice very few upgrades on my accessories throughout this video because they just feel like such an afterthought. They're like one of the they're so expensive to do the iconic upgrades for and all that. It's crazy. So yeah, I've shifted focus away from accessories for a little bit now, but anyway, that's gonna do it for the equipment. Taking a look at the talent build, nothing special here. Everyone kind of agrees this is the way that you run the archer skill combination. Here we have Feral Nature, we grab Venomous Sting, we grab Razor Sharp, and then the rest of your points come over here in some form or fashion, however you like. Obviously grab Rapid Fire and Arrows Knocked, and then the last 2 points you throw wherever you want, right? You could make the argument that you should move maybe the normal damage over to attack, so that way you hit harder with your skill shots. That's a micro optimization. I'm not using a reset for that. It don't even matter to me. All right, taking a look at the formation again, not much has probably changed here. We have quite a bit of stats except for archer health, which I guess is okay because we do have a lot of archer health here on Yuili. And if we look at the inscriptions, we have Furious, so lots of extra skill damage here. We have Respite, reducing damage taken. This isn't great, but I got it. It is what it is. We have 2% all damage with Assertive and 1.5% extra damage with Rapacious. Really a little bit more lore here from the Omniarch channel. The Epics of Olympia, you'll notice, has 10 out of 10 transmutes, and that's because I just got this from just like a random, I don't even know if it was like a travel attempt or like one of the free attempts that you do every day, or like one of those blue randomized chests. I opened something and I was just blessed with this. Now, is it the best armament in the world? No, but I literally have no investment in this. Like, this just came out of the box like this, and also so did my banner. It just came out with a 1.5% all damage, 3% attack, 2.5% defense, and assertive. It is what it is. These two are just so decent for what they are with no investment. I feel like I got so lucky with my archers here. Really liking that. Otherwise, you can see I've used some transmutes on the others. They could use some work, obviously, but I'm only running one archer march, and so I'm not putting that much thought or time or investment into my archer march, especially because right now I feel like archers are in a weird spot. This army does perform super well. Like, historically, it is very consistent, hits very good, but it is a little bit slow. It is archers, it's targeted a lot, and so for that reason, running one archers I think is fine for me, and I don't need to invest that heavily into the equipment or the armaments for it to really do well. So really happy with my really young Hermann. I don't see that changing anytime soon unless the next archers are absolutely insane. I'd love a reason to run two archers, but I just haven't had one ever basically. So that is that. Moving on to my fourth army, and my first cavalry march we're going to talk about in this video is none other than Huo with Joan of Arc Prime. Now this is an army that I have used in the past few KVKs where I've been testing the difference between Nevsky Joan versus Huo Joan and moving the William around and seeing which one is best, and time again I feel like on paper the Nevsky Joan looks better, and then in practice for me anecdotally my Huo Joan just performs better. And so it is what it is. I'm rocking with this one. The Nevsky is not riding with Joan any longer. We're doing the Huo Joan combo. Once again, I don't think I've made really any improvements on this equipment since last time, because I've just been focusing all in basically on my 2 infantry marches, because that's where I've been getting the most benefit and the most kill points. So there we go. However, you'll see we have the special talent on the helmet. We do have the Sacred Dominion. We have basically tier 1 everything else except for the legs. We have tier 2 Ash of the Dawn, and that's pretty self-explanatory. We just went for most of the best in slot items. In hindsight, I should have gone for the KVK helmet obviously, but we'll talk about that in just a second maybe if I remember. But all in all, nothing crazy there. I do think I've made slight improvements on this set here of armaments, but nothing too crazy. You'll notice the cav attack is lacking and the cav health is lacking, but we have 12.1% cav defense, which is incredible, and we have 5.3% all damage, which I'm really happy about. We have Hunter, of course. This is great for your Huo because it increases that single target damage as well by a significant amount. We also have Boiling Blood, which is great. We have Defiant, which is okay. Resisting normal damage is better now than ever, but it's still just fine. And then Artisan gives me even more skill damage. So all in all, really the defense and the all damage here, it just makes this shine. It could definitely use some work. I'm not pretending like it can't, but all in all, I've been trying to transmute. You'll see here, like I've gotten super unlucky with my transmutations. So yeah, it is what it is. I just haven't been getting super lucky with my armaments for calves as far as the skill damage wedge formation goes. But all in all, again, all damage and defense, you really love that, especially because, you know, there's so much health on the equipment for cavalry, and you don't, like, obviously health is always good, but defense actually helps a lot for calves. And I think that's why Huo performs better than people think in terms of trades. He just has so much defense here that it's kind of nuts. Yes, I do have him expertise. I know there's a micro optimization to be made there. I don't see it, you know, that's not a pressing issue for me, to be honest with you. So that's kind of it for my Huo Joan. Not much has changed here, just like with the Zhuge Liang with Herman. I just realized I didn't share my talent build for my Huo. Again, this is not controversial at all. Feral Nature, you grab Emblazoned Shield, you grab Undying Fury, you have 3 points left over, you throw it into Halberd, and you are Gucci. You don't need to change this. You don't have to think about this. This is the best for cav skill damage commanders. All right, and with that being said, let's move on to my final army here in the video, and that's going to be my King Arthur with Philip. Now I said earlier that I would be talking about Philip in this video, so here we go. I will be using the King Arthur Philip combo. I've talked about this in previous videos, and I've gotten a lot of you guys commenting. I've heard from, not just in comments, but on Discord and in calls, people have been telling me that this army pops off. So I'm really excited to use this. I've even seen people share, you know, in the Discord that they've been trading positive without gear, right? Like it's crazy. So that might be a little bit hyperbolic, right? Of course I'm not going to try that. I'm going to be rocking it with gear, but like I'm excited to finally use Arthur on the battlefield again. We've been in off season for so long, so finally getting my chance to use him is going to be really exciting. Taking a look at the equipment, this is basically the gear that was on my Nevsky is now on my King Arthur, and you'll notice one little change. Of course, I used to have the Ring of Doom on my Nevsky, and we moved that to our Liu Che. So now we've got our Concealed Dagger and the Mora's Web over here on King Arthur. Now I would caution you guys, I don't feel like the dagger or Mora's Web are really worth crafting anymore these days. The Mora's Web was barely worth it, to be honest with you guys, but you know, I just feel like they've not aged very well, because as damage has gone up and up, and as stats across the board have gone up and up and up with people getting better and better inscriptions, the reduction of the dagger and the Mora's Web has not changed, right? So I just don't feel like they're great, but I have them, I crafted them, so I'm going to be using them, and we're going to see how they do. Also, we have combo damage on King Arthur, right? And combo damage give you a chance to trigger both of these items, right? And so that's kind of why we're going to be rocking it here. Obviously I used to put the dagger on my Liu Che because he was the only combo combo damage commander that I had that was in the game, right? But now we've got King Arthur who does combo damage, and so both of these I just threw them here. We're gonna see how it does. I think that this pair is not gonna really mind using them, right? And as bad as they might be, I think you're gonna get a lot of value, or you would get more value from them on a commander that triggers more, right? Obviously, so this is kind of the best place for both of them for me. The talent build for my King Arthur looks something like this. We put 5 points into Iron Steel, then we come up here, we grab Emblazoned Shield, and we grab Undying Fury. That makes a lot of sense to me. Then we've got some points left over, so I did go grab a Good Day to Die. This, you know, it's probably not that good, but I just don't see a better thing to do, right? I mean, it's 6% more combo damage, but 3% all damage taken, so that is not a very fair trade in my estimation. However, a lot of your damage is going to come from the active skill on King Arthur, so boosting that by 6% is nice. Also, the alternative is impenetrable, and this is only under 50%, so for a majority of fights I'm not even going to get benefit out of this, and taking less damage when I'm already so low is like, I don't love that, right? So you could argue that this would like move the reports positive slightly for you, and there's no downside to it. But I would argue that the downside is that you're spending 50% of your troops or your health, basically. I shouldn't say the word health because that's literally a stat in the game, that's what I'm talking about, but 50% of your time on the battlefield, basically you're getting nothing, no value out of this, right? Because above 50 it doesn't do anything, right? And then under 50 is when you're probably going to try to retreat anyway. So that's why I don't love impenetrable, and it looks like I'm in the minority here. More governors pick this one than they do this one, so I don't know, but honestly I'm sticking to it. Otherwise you have to put a bunch of points into grabbing Disarm, which honestly, oh actually I'm just kidding, you can't even get Disarm, right? You'd actually have to just settle for some attack and march speed, which I guess you could make the argument that that would be worth it, right? But it just bothers me that you can't get 6% of march speed, it's only 3%. So I don't know, maybe this is the play, right? This could technically be the play, especially if you find yourself out of position quite often. This might be better, but I'm gonna rock this. We'll see how it goes, and if I find the trades are getting worse, I'll try this. If that doesn't move the needle, then we'll have to do something else. But if we take a look at the formation here, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are rocking the arch formation. Now this is not meta, okay? You probably want to use the Delta formation. However, I don't have very good Delta armaments, and so we're gonna give this a try. I could potentially convert this over to Delta, but I'm gonna test it first before I do any converting. I don't want to go all in on the Delta formation and then find out that like it's not that great, and then I gotta just put Arthur behind my Nevsky, and then like it was a whole waste of time and all that stuff. So I'm just gonna rock this. We're gonna see how it goes. We have 8% health, 10.3% defense, 7.3% attack. It's okay, it could be a little bit better. I think it's fine. I haven't really invested that much in this anyway. I mean, we have a purple, right? Like we have a purple here. Now this is a pretty high roll purple, but like it's still a purple, so it is what it is. All right, Warcry gives us another 2.5% attack, so that'll bump us up to nearly 10%, which is fine. Fearsome gives me 1% all damage. War Hunger gives me 1.5% more normal damage, which by the way, combo attacks are boosted by normal damage, right? So we have 5% normal damage from arch formation, 1.5% here. Eclipse makes me take 2.5% less normal damage, that's whatever. Forceful gives me 3% more normal damage, which is actually quite nice, right? So all in all, we have 4.5% more normal damage. Elite gives me 1% all damage, and Fearsome is 1%, so that's 2% more all damage, 4.5% normal damage, and 5% normal. So really I have 9.5% more normal damage here, which is, that's better than 10% combo damage, by the way. All right, so I mean there's that. Again, am I confident in this? I'm on the fence, right? I'm on the fence. I know that with Delta formation and with the legendary inscriptions on Delta formation, that's really what can unlock the potential of an Arthur primary, but I'm gonna try it, right? This is kind of a budget build, to be honest with you guys. Like really, I mean, like we have a couple of transmutes here, and I don't even remember why. I think it's because it's a double inscription, and I was considering just swapping it over to Delta anyway. But besides that, like these just came out of the box this way, right? So I'm happy with that. No real investment here at all. And really, I got these because I was opening the arch formation for my Liu Che, right? So it's not like I wasted any boxes or crates opening them for this. Like I just got these passively, so this is kind of just like a free set. I get to just try it out for basically nothing. A couple of transmutation stones, but I mean at the end of the day it is what it is. I'm stoked. I'm gonna see how this is gonna do. It might be horrible, in which case that's fine. I'll just move back to using Nevsky. This is my second set for my Nevsky as far as the inscriptions and armaments go. You can see well clad is 3.5% defense, guarded gives you a chance to reduce scale damage taken. Then we have 10.6% attack, 7.3% defense, 4.2% health, and another 1.8% all damage. So worst case scenario, I'll be be rocking this, right, with my King Arthur behind him, and that's going to be pretty much it. We'll rock the Huo Joan, and that'll be my two calves. But I'm excited to give King Arthur and Philip a try. We'll see how they do. The other thing too is I've heard a lot of people talk about King Arthur with William, okay, and that's another combination that I might consider trying, although we'll have to wait and see. There's a lot that I want to do and test with King Arthur. Would it be better for me to use him as a secondary? Would it be better to use him with William versus Philip? Would it be better to use him with a different formation? Lots to test with my King Arthur, so I'm really excited to do all that. But for right now, my plan is King Arthur primary, Philip secondary, get that supportive nature on the battlefield, give him that extra march speed, give him that instant proc that we love from the Alex, right? That's basically what Philip is here, except it's AoE with a rage reduction. We love that, and that's pretty much it. So I'm super stoked about this. Obviously I'm still rocking the Ottoman Empire, so nothing has changed in terms of like what I'm going to be using for my civilization. That march speed is just so valuable to me that I just can't get rid of it, and plus there's still a ton of skill damage on these commanders from the Huo Joan, Zhuge Liang Herman. We have the Ragnar CPO. I mean, there's just so much skill damage that I'm still doing, even though two of my armies don't really focus on it. It's still going to be worth it to run the Ottoman Empire with the Twilight Falls City skin, and we'll see how that fares. I mean, maybe in 2026 the meta will be completely different, so this might be one of my last times rocking these things, depending on how we see 2025 evolve, with potentially more smite damage commanders, potentially more combo damage commanders. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Those are the 5 armies that I'm going to be running here in this KVK, as well as some of the things I might switch up, test a couple of different things. We'll see how things go, and who knows, by the time Kingsland comes around, I might for the first time ever run a 6th army. I've been playing around with that in my head. I've got the armaments to test it out. I've got a half decent set of sort of usable gear for infantry for a 3rd infantry army, so I've been playing around with that in my mind for a bit, so we'll see how that goes. But anyway, that is a topic for a future video that you don't want to miss. So if you don't want to miss it, you want to subscribe down below, click the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video, and while you're down there, comment down below your thoughts on my 5 different armies. What do you think I should be doing? What do you think I should change? Are you excited to see how these things play out? Let me know in the comments section below, and while you're down there, drop a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps push this video out to the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.